Today our topic is use cases. Why you should use them. Why should you use cases, Christian?
They don't even know what use cases are yet.
Well, then explain to me what use cases are.
Use cases are obviously ways for people to see your projects. So, for example, if you're the best engineer in the field, you want everybody to see the things you've worked on. What big projects have you worked on? What have you done well? I don't know about you, but there's too many contractors out there that do big jobs. When you go to their sites, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, you'd have no idea. I'll never forget when we were talking to my good friend Kevin, and Kevin was talking about, I was just casually asking him what his favorite, projects that they've worked on are, and whatever that means for people. Some people go for volume, some people go for size, and he was describing an airport job, and he was talking about how the job was like a $4 or $5 million project. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. What's the average size project for you? And he goes, oh, our average size project is 500, 600K. And so I was like, wow, what did you collect from that? How do people know that you did that? What types of before and after photos did you do, or drone footage, or on the scene types of stuff? Like, what did you put together? What was the impact of it? And he's like, man, we don't have any of that stuff. And I just hate it when people don't collect any of that stuff, because in order to get more jobs like the ones that you want, you have to show the ones that you've done, because people believe in that, looking back on where you've been to get where you're going type of thing. Yeah. So it's insane, man. It's insane that more people don't put together at least some portfolio of some use cases, and then testimonials go for that as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a good project done, you want to have a continued relationship with somebody that you've done a good project with, even if it was a one-off that you're never going to do business with them again, they can still serve as like a networking / referral partner for the future for you,
Yeah, so I feel like people still work on that good old boy mentality, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I got a good buddy over at this general contractor firm, so they're never going to leave me. I don't need to update anything, et cetera, et cetera. But what they don't realize is that GC is looking for replacements. That development company is looking for replacements, looking for new people to hire, right?
Yep.
Every day they need people. So some of these younger generation people are going to come in, start looking them up online. They're going to see that their competitor has 4 hospitals under VA hospitals that they built.
Yep.
They're going to have a bid coming up. It's VA friendly. And they're going to go, man, you know what? I'm going to let this guy that's done 4 VA hospitals bid on this because he's probably going to save me money because he's done these projects.
Yep.
But what this kid doesn't know is the person they're with has probably done 12 VA hospitals.
Right.
But they haven't.
For sure.
They're not showing it anywhere.
Yep.
And that's just like one simple little thing. Like, if you want more of something, or if you want your first of something, like, start building use cases that like are similar to. Like, you want a VA hospital? Put a hospital up.
Yep.
Put an urgent care up even. Like, that's at least one step closer.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and I'm sure you were thinking about this as well based on your example, but I was thinking about one of the marketing proposals that we put together, and it was for the Virginia Air National Guard. And the proposal we put together was pretty good. I mean, we put together a good piece.
So he's literally like...
No. I mean, I was trying to be humble. It was awesome, okay? It was a fantastic proposal. And then when they said who they went with the job, they listed the company, and you look on their website, and their website has this whole area that's just completely dedicated to how they did another project under the Air National Guard.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that, not Virginia, but another, branch of the Air National Guard, but it was the same circumstance. So, that's not to say that they didn't put together a better, more experienced proposal, but, I mean, I did that proposal, and I'm telling you it's pretty good, so...
They probably didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, think about their decision-making process. Like, they're on a boardroom. We have an RFP out there for marketing for them, and they go down 3 of them.
Yep.
The first one they look at is us, and it looks really nice. They're like, okay, it's on point. I love their solution. They look at the second one. It's on point. Love his solution. And then they do a little background digging on it. They go to their website, and then there's use case after use case after image after video testimonial after banner and other military services.
They did a time lapse to it too, man. Like you can't compete with that,
Their entire website was built around helping the military. So we lost that 100% based off of use cases. Now we don't have all those use cases for military, so we really couldn't just throw those on there.
Right.
But that's what's going to happen to people who are still trying to play the good old boy circle.
I think so too. I think that people need to collect and put together. It's not enough anymore to just bid on some form of proposal and do the job and then shake hands and walk away after the business is done. I think that there's like this end step that's after it that you don't get paid for, so it's a hard one to have the diligence to do, but it's putting together all the resources that you used for this. And then the next proposal comes around, and like using your example for the hospital, the next hospital that you bid on is going to say, when we worked on hospitals A, B, and C, this was the solution that we came up with. And whether the solution
having direct links to the use case in your RFP.
It's exactly like, and whether it's a better solution or not, or whatever the tenet of the proposal is. I mean, even if they have a pre-existing relationship with one of the bidders, or if their solution was less expensive than yours, or any of the other reasons that people are awarding these proposals. I mean, if you have a use case that says, when we worked on this exact same project, this is what we encountered, and you can even talk and be honest about like what problems came up with it and such as well.
So if you're going to do a use case on, let's say, $150 million apartment building,
mm-hmm.
what would you want in that use case online?
I think it has to be graphic heavy for sure, and it's not necessarily, and it depends on who you're targeting with that use case, right? So, for example, if you put together an apartment building and you're working with the developers and the realtors, and you're looking to like lease out the building type of thing, I think it has to be like gorgeous. Like it has all the premier stuff, like you're showcasing the penthouse suite constantly type stuff, and like all the highest, best, most graphically oriented stuff that you possibly can, along with the amenities. That's one side. But if you're using a use case for like future projects, which I think is what you're getting at ultimately,
yes.
I think that you include things like what systems you used in place.
Like safety systems,
anything that's paramount. So like if you use anything that's like cutting edge, whether it's materials, whether it's construction supplies, whether it's the types of equipment that you're using, some sort of accreditation with your team, like if they have some of their Six Sigma certifications or whatever, like their OSHA certifications and stuff, or whatever else. I think you include all that stuff. Anything that kind of puts you in an elevation above the standard construction project, right? And God knows, for a $150 million project, there's got to have been something.
That'd have been a big apartment complex. I was just making up a giant job.
Yeah, for sure.
But and that can happen for all sizes though. Any kind of the thing I always think about is like the project manager and the estimators that choose you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through a lot of stress. If they pick the wrong people, I mean, that could be at least their clout in the office, maybe even their job if they choose the wrong person.
Or God forbid, I mean, it reminds me of that situation with Rusty where he has this huge project going on, and he ends up basically having to call his subs, and because again, the people, I'm not going to say they were wrong, but there was certainly a circumstance that we're very aware of where he's hounding them over the material costs that they put into play, so it's like make sure that you have your subs right just as much as you have your estimators in place, your people in place. I mean, all of the above. But it's a great getting back to your question, what types of stuff do you showcase? I mean, obviously I like a lot of the higher echelon type content creation, like your before and after videos. I love drone footage.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something. Actually, talking with SureLook cameras kind of got me thinking about this that I met at CAGC. But another piece is like security on the job, because it's not like you're dealing with a $150 million condo complex or something. It's not like that erects over 6 days. Like it has to take place over the course of 1, maybe 2 years, something like that. So what do you have in place to ensure that nothing gets stolen, that people are safe on the job? Why would somebody choose you? And if you can answer those questions, I mean, I think it puts you in a way more competitive position to earn the job.
And I think that's where people are getting screwed though, because like they say, if I can answer the questions, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to answer them anymore. It needs to be seen.
Agreed. Yep.
Like you can lie.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell a story.
Right.
But if you have an entire project that they can backtrack and check and even maybe call references to see how the building went.
Yep.
If you have that, I think you're going to win every time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can be expensive as long as it's not like a public job.
Yeah.
I think you can be more expensive with the right use cases in place and still win the job.
I think you're right. And I remember when Rob was telling us about how he'll have certain job opportunities that come along just based on effectively his use cases because of the work that he's done with folks, and so they continue to call him back. So that's when you're procuring business that's from a source that you're already experienced with. It's not necessarily that you need to get some from people that you've never heard of, type of thing. But it only serves to help you when you do end up in these circumstances with people that have never heard of your company and that type of thing.
Yeah. So even the largest companies right now, like if you go look at their use case section, I feel like they're not doing it fully yet. You go there and the large ones, don't get me wrong, they still have a nice use case. You'll go there, it'll say our $60 million downtown skyscraper building. You'll click on it, it'll tell a short story about it.
Sure.
And have a picture. And that's all it has. I think it's going to evolve to where that has even
it seems kind of lazy, doesn't it?
Does.
It seems kind of lazy how like you put together a $60 million job and you got
page.
and you got like one picture. I see this every single day and it drives me nuts. You get like one picture of the outside that you could have taken with a freaking iPhone, and then like 2 paragraphs like this was the work that we did type of thing.
I can even see them changing that page to be like templated.
Yeah.
To where like the side has tabs and it like lets you see like specifications, challenges, how we got past them.
Yeah.
Like the leading team on the job. Like I could see that being like some kind of really cool system where people can actually look at everything instead of just seeing that pretty picture.
Yeah.
Now at least they're doing the pretty picture, because I'd say most GCs below 100 million aren't even doing that. They're not doing use cases at all, really.
Yeah, they're not putting it together. They just kind of let their stuff stand
not to throw you
themselves.
out there, because if you're doing it, my bad. But
no,
a lot of you not doing it.
I think it's a pretty well known fact. I think it's a well known fact that people don't. And honestly, I think it goes for all business, not just GCs. I don't think that people, when they work and complete on big projects, they're not putting together a lot of their success metrics and stories from it too.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I talked to a large general contractor at an outing we had at Carolina AGC, and they literally said nowadays, if they look you up, you don't have a website with like specific jobs on it and ways they could see it, they just throw your bid away.
Wow, even if. Like I've always kind of thought that was true, but even if it's, do you think they still do that if it's somebody they know, or do you think that since they're dealing on things at such a grand scale, like you just kind of have to have those checks in place?
I don't know, but I wouldn't put that chance on my business if I was you. Like if there's a percentage chance they're throwing you away on some jobs because other companies have a better website and they have use cases all built in place. Like
it's laziness, really, because it's like
let your friends use you.
What's the most that putting something like that together would cost for you, like from a use case perspective? And I'm talking like creme de la creme, like
if you did
like
the
gold
best,
star, like absolute best content put together ever
for an entire use case.
And let's argue and say it's a humongous job, $150 million condo. Like how much do you think it would cost to put everything together A to Z for that?
Like manpower or just the service of it?
Just the service. So obviously you got.
I would say like $12K maybe.
Okay, yeah. I was leaning probably towards like 20, but that's with extraordinary content collection. It's with integrating it into a website that hopefully operates appropriately. That's talking like you were talking about with the tabs and stuff like that. Like I'm talking actually putting it on a thing. Okay, so let's say we're both wrong.
12 and 20.
Let's double my number. 40K. Let's say 40K, which like if it costs you 40K, like costs, that's way too much money. But 40K for something like that, and then it's putting you in or out of contention for a $50 million job.
True.
Like that's insane to me that people just don't
even if
think
it's a $5
about,
million job. Though,
like
people that see this might think they're too small for this conversation. But if you're getting out of contingency for a $5 million job over a $20,000 use case, you're wrong.
Yeah, and so the other thing about that too is that's just money. That's just like putting together the stuff. But I mean, we work with several people that, like, we love drone footage. You're going to hear us talk about it, like, probably every single podcast show. But like, drones nowadays, I mean, God, you can get, like, the top-of-the-line drone with sweet 4K cameras for, like, what, $2,000 now or something? Like,
it's nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk to we work with several folks, and the one that always comes to my mind is one of the folks that we work with, he basically gave a $2,000 drone to one of his PMs. He's like, here, take footage with this, and the guy's like, oh yeah, and he's like stoked about it, and then that's like a one-time investment to get top of the line stuff,
Yeah.
So I mean, I just don't understand why people don't do it really, and I, like I said, I think it comes down to like laziness and the fact that it's not on the top of their mind. So I think for the most part, people do a job, they complete a job, they get paid for a job, and then they're on to the next job. They don't.
Yeah. Well, I think the industry's a little spoiled right now, right? Like
Yeah.
spoiled in a weird way, because you have the hard. They can't find employees very often.
Sure.
So like they can't expand. They can't win new jobs.
Yeah.
So I think they're making more money than they ever have, but can't find room to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So why spend the time to win more work if they can't do it anyway?
It's true.
But what's going to happen is that's going to sooner or later balance.
Yeah.
And there's going to be younger companies that didn't think like that.
Yeah.
And they're going to have all the use cases in place.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be, all of a sudden you were this grand champ and now you're 5% less market share.
The word that I hate in business is capacity. Like if you're operating at capacity, you better increase your capacity because eventually everything in the world is getting more expensive every single day, God knows. But if you're operating at capacity, you're doing a certain amount of revenue per month, you're doing a certain amount of jobs per month, whatever, and you're operating at that level, like that bill is going to die out eventually. And it's either going to die out on your time or it's going to die out on the fact that, $50K doesn't get you the same place that it did 10 years ago type of thing, So it's interesting, man. It'll be really really neat to see how people put together these things, putting together use cases. God knows we're not exempt from this either. We got to do some work on our use cases, but I mean, it's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to actually put into action. What would you say? Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same thing, but in a different way. $150 million. I'm going to change the subject. $150 million stadium project. Okay. That's kind of a small stadium. $500 million stadium. the stadium for Cracker Jacks. No, but so $500 million stadium. What types of stuff do you think people need to put together, or a GC, the subs? It doesn't matter. Whomever is working on the project. What types of stuff do they need to put together in order to showcase it? And let's just assume, let's just make it easy. Let's say it's something that goes on a website so that they can reference it. So what types of things do people need to do, assuming they want more jobs like that?
So I think you have two angles, right? Like you have three angles technically. You have the developer angle, you have the GC angle, and then you have the subcontractor angle.
Okay.
Which to me, the general contractors are going to want to sell the fact that they've done these large jobs, and they're going to want it look very happy. They're going to want to look like all the subcontractors got along.
Right.
They did everything on time.
Yep.
There was never any problems, because that's what GCs do. They keep problems from happening, and then they fix them and don't tell anybody about them.
Yeah.
They just keep it going straight, right?
Yeah.
Or if a big problem did come up, how did they attack it and handle it immediately? Those are really important to me.
I think it's gonna evolve into that too, because I think that the world's going to the world of construction at least is going to consciously know that there's no such thing as listen, I don't care if you're just putting in one outlet in one place. Like there's no such thing as a job that goes perfectly A to Z. Like problem solving is the number one skill in construction of some sort. So I think that there's going to be like you may have to spin it in a positive way or something, but I absolutely think that there's going to be something where people have to show like what came up and what they did about it, so that people understand their problem solving process behind that. And sure, you might have to dance it up a little bit, but other than that, so what else?
And then all the big stuff, like what was modern, what was new about it? Was there like the Atlanta place with the huge entertainment system in the center?
Yeah.
Like
you're talking about the Mercedes-Benz stadium?
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz. Yeah. Like all the crazy stuff that's never been done before, been done very rare. Like those pieces, the specifications, how was it done, who led it, how did it look, show like videos of it getting installed, like a time lapse of it getting installed. Like all the big pieces that are going to make a developer go, wow, these people deal with important shit.
Yeah.
I want them on my job.
I think to your point, you were talking about the giant screen at the Atlanta Falcons stadium, which is just outstanding. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. And to that point, I mean, that's like probably the biggest type of job there is. But I also feel like there's little golden nuggets and little things that are unique to every job. And it could be something, I mean, gosh, it could be something as as simple as like soil composure, you know, like maybe the way that they laid it out, they had to do something differently or move dirt around in a different place or something like that. But just seeing that process, I think gives people an understanding like, okay, these guys, when they're signed on to do a job, they get it done, you know?
Maybe even another way to think about this is like, maybe with building all stadiums, there's like a couple problems that always arise.
Sure.
Like maybe there's some permitting, maybe there's some soil stuff that needs to be taken care of. Maybe there's like, it's really hard to get the right capacity of weight on the concrete structures.
Possible.
Like maybe there's some hurdles that always happen.
Yep.
And then you can actually work backwards and build your content around all the hurdles that normally happen.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a project manager going, how in the world am I going to put this all together?
Right.
I need to fix this, and that. And they land on your page and all of a sudden they're like, wow, those are the five questions I was already asking. Right there.
Yep.
Maybe that's the way to go, and then also highlight all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And the specifications and the reference pages.
I think that's kind of the other piece. We've been focused on like showcasing and using use cases for jobs that people have already done to land new jobs.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like attracting tradesmen. You know, I think that there's this huge. I mean, everybody's having trouble with employment these days, but I think there's this opportunity where if you're able to showcase anything cool, and I mean anything cool, no matter what it is, I think that's something that can potentially attract a new tradesman or a person to work for your company as compared to others. Because hiring right now is just as competitive as winning bids is, you know?
I'd say probably more competitive.
Yeah, probably
even
more so.
I
mean, you know, I was talking with a good buddy of mine that's a recruiter, and you know, he basically said, look, if you're a plumber or or somebody that does drywall right now, you choose where you want to go. You're hired right there, you know.
$24 an hour, race, go.
Yeah, like whatever you want to do, you know, and probably even more than that now. But I mean that's insane. I mean, we've never been able to accommodate these types of changes in rates. So I don't know, it's interesting, but. That's all I got for use cases. You have anything else?
No, just do them.
Do them, man. Just do them. Get them done. And they can improve, you know. Yeah. They can improve, but you got to start somewhere. Just get that ball rolling.
Help us change the way the world sees construction.